What's up YouTube, it's your boy Grassy TV back with another Hero Siege video. Season 5 begins on December 13th and has been fully loaded with over 200 new sub-skill trees across all classes, as well as new items and runes, a Hero Siege style mapping system, a rebirth of glyphs, angelic augments, better Chaos Tower scaling, much needed performance improvements across the game, and so freaking much more. I am super excited to explore the new season and very humbled to be making content on this awesome game. Today I present to you my starter build guide for the Gunner Drone Marksman in Season 5. The Gunner Drone Marksman is a popular setup focused on maximizing the damage output of your Gunner Drone while providing strong range capabilities and mobility. This build leverages the Marksman's unique ability to summon and empower the Gunner Drone to deal consistent automated damage, making it ideal for clearing waves and handling bosses efficiently. This build offers a smooth leveling process for both beginner and advanced players. In this guide, you'll find information on build functionality, a step-by-step leveling guide, a full gearing section, and much more. Let's start off by talking about some pros and cons of the Gunner Drone Marksman. First, it is an auto bomber playstyle. If you've ever played Herald of Thunder and Path of Exile, it's a lot like that. You simply activate your Gunner Drones, and as you move around, beams of lightning will come down and hit enemies for you for duration. You get an insane movement skill at level 1, as well as you get a debuff causing enemies to take 105% increased damage from all sources. And if you have Marksman skins, you get a bunch of really cool Vault MTXs. However, it does heavily rely on Master Mechanic for maximum damage output, and you do need a lot of cooldown reduction to keep this up more. It's a bit slow until you hit level 30 when you get access to Gunner Drone, and arcane casters are usually expensive to scale through the mid game and later. Here's an overview of the different skills and passives that make this build work. First is Gunner Drone. This is your main damage. You'll build a Gunner Drone which follows you and shoots bullets, dealing arcane damage towards the nearest monster that bounces from monster to monster. Second is Master Mechanic. This is our main damage buff. You'll temporarily increase the attack speed and arcane damage of all your turrets and drones. Vault is our movement skill. You'll vault in the direction aimed, unleashing arrows towards nearby enemies that deal physical damage. Cannon Turret is our debuff skill. We build a cannon turret that launches cannonballs towards nearest monsters that explode into shrapnel, dealing arcane damage. Later on, we do get an augment that makes this cause enemies to take 105% increased damage from all sources. And lastly, we have a small placeable AoE drone buff called Beacon. We build a beacon that increases the nearby allies' arcane skill damage and mana replenish. If you enjoy my content or find it useful, please consider donating. I am dedicating all donations and stream revenue in December to go towards my mom's fight with cancer. Of course, donating is not required to view my content, and I won't treat anybody differently, so only support if you can do so comfortably. To all of my contributors, thank you guys so freaking much. It's so hard to express how much that really means to me, so thank you. Within the written guide is a section designed to teach a few Hero Siege leveling basics to newer or returning players. If you're in this category, be sure to check that out, as it is really good information to have whenever you're leveling from 1 to 100. Next, let's talk about how to allocate points into our skill tree while we level. Use the tabs below to show the skill tree progression as you level. Keep in mind some classes may have multiple trees for AoE clearing, single target, or utility options. At level 1, we're going to use Frag Grenade as our main damage with Vault for movement. So put all your points into Frag Grenade, except for 1 point we'll put into Vault. Be sure to put some points into Energy early to help with mana costs. At level 8, we're going to continue putting points into Frag Grenade for damage. You can put points into Landmine to increase the damage of Frag Grenade without increasing its mana cost. This is up to you. At level 16, we're going to respec into Cannonball Turret for a much better single target. This step is optional. You can save Frag Grenade if you want until level 30. This is just my preference. Be sure you put 1 point of Vault for movement. The rest will go into Cannonball or Frag Grenade if you want to increase the damage of Cannonball without increasing its mana cost. At level 30, we're going to respec into Gunner Drone full time. Put 1 point of Vault, 1 point into Beacon. This is a damage buff. 1 point into Cannonball Turret. We're going to use this as a monster debuff. Max Gunner Drone and put the rest into Master Mechanic. At level 60, we'll finish maxing Master Mechanic and put the rest into Frag Grenade. At level 80, we will max Frag Grenade and put the rest into Homing Missile. And here's our final level 100 Gunner Drone tree. 1 point into Vault for movement, 1 point into Beacon as a damage buff, 1 point into Cannonball Turret for a monster debuffing. This makes monsters take 105% increased damage from all sources. Then you'll max Gunner Drone, max Master Mechanic, max Frag Grenade, max Homing Missile, and put the rest of your points into Beacon. Sub-skill trees are a new feature in Season 5. Simply click on the plus sign on the top right of the skill you're looking to spec into, and a new window will pop up. You gain 1 point for every 5 character levels for every skill that you have allocated. You can reset this tree anytime for free, as well as you can have 1 augment per skill. Listed below are all these sub-skill trees that I recommend while leveling. First, we have Gunner Drone. This tree focuses on obtaining maximum drone amount, increasing their attack speed, and giving them additional bounces or projectiles on their attacks. For Vault, this tree gives your Vault the most jumping range with the ability to jump over terrain. The augment is purely cosmetic. You turn into a bullet if you have the right MTX. And last is Cannonball Turret. This tree gives your Cannonball Turret a debuff, making monsters take 105% increased damage from all sources, and has a chance to inflict deep freeze on monsters. Let's talk about attribute allocation. Skills can be quite expensive to use early, especially as you put more and more points into them. It's increasing the mana cost. You will want to put points into energy until you can find your first flat skill damage item, as well as some sustain so you're not chugging on mana pots. After that, follow a 50-50 split rule between intelligence and vitality. You'll do 2 points intelligence, 2 points vitality for every level. Let's move on to gearing. This section is designed to give you workable suggestions on what gear to acquire at different stages of the game. You as a player need to look at your current gear and figure out what options make the most sense for you. Due to the addition of the sub-skill trees, there are item procs or combinations that will not be listed here as they aren't discovered yet. It's up to you to experiment. Alongside gearing in Season 5 is star levels. Be sure to check out my star levels video explain for more information, but this is really for more advanced players and won't affect your playthrough. So don't worry, none of the gear that I'm using in this guide has star levels on it, as it is not required to complete any content in the game. For most of leveling, you'll be searching for rare or mythic items that match your character's damage type, but you may come across some satanics that also make sense to use. I cannot guarantee you dropping a specific satanic, nor will you stop leveling to farm for a specific satanic, so my gear recommendations will not include them. Rune words, however, are nearly guaranteed, as the bases are very common and you can obtain rune from completing quests in Act 1 normal, Nightmare, and Hell, then using the prospect station in Act 1 to downgrade runes to the ones that you need. This does not include the runes that you'll naturally drop playing the game. Be sure to check the runes level requirement and the white bases level requirement to ensure that you meet the requirement for both. The in-game journal is a bit misleading on the minimum level requirements for starter rune words, so best to check for yourself. Just a reminder, while we're leveling, we are mainly looking for normal through mythic items, so here are some weapon affixes to look out for. A rune word to consider is Sky Song. You can use it as early as level 29 in any tier base. Just be sure to make it in a spellblade or a one-handed sword. Here are some offhand affixes to look for. Rune word options to consider. First is Sky Song. Again, you can use this as early as level 29. This is your offensive option. You'll make it in a shield. Second is Divine Contemplation. You can use this as early as level 21. This is your defensive option. It has a ton of resistance on it. You can make this in any 3-socket shield. Here are some helmet affixes to look for. A rune word option to consider is Scholar. You can use this as early as level 27. It does have a skill on it, some mana on kill, as well as some physical damage reduction. Here are some chest affixes to look for. Rune words to consider. The first is Shadow. You can use this as early as level 17. It does have 25% movement speed as well as 25% faster cast rate on it. Second is Angle Oxuana. You can use this as early as level 35. This has up to 4 skills, some faster cast rate, arcane skill damage, and minus enemy arcane resistance. It's a very strong chest. Here are some glove affixes to look for. Here are some boot affixes to look for. Be sure to prioritize movement speed, as traversing through zones is important. A couple rune words to consider. The first is Quick Steps. This is going to give you the most amount of movement speed. And second is Ghost. This is a better option as you do get +2 skills, some physical and magical damage reduction, as well as movement phasing, allowing you to move through enemies and objects. However, you do need a Mal rune, and you're most likely only going to get this from your Act 1 quests in normal, Nightmare, or Hell. This is up to you. Personally, I wouldn't prospect down a Vex or a Goal into a Mal, so unless you get the Mal specifically, probably not worth until later. Here's some belt affixes to look for. Here's some ring affixes to look for. Here are some amulet affixes to look for. And lastly, here are some charm affixes to look for. As a fresh level 100 character, there really isn't best in slot gear at this point. Most items could be swapped with strong mythics. Item decisions are going to revolve around how your character feels over direct power upgrades. For example, if your character has a built-in teleport but low cast rate, choosing items that have higher, faster cast rate than others can make the build feel more smooth to play. You could put any combination of these budget items together and feel capable of completing Hell difficulty and begin pushing difficulties. Do not underestimate how strong mythic items can be, especially with the new star level system. Starting with weapons, some good options are Sky Song. Look for an intelligence, arcane skill damage, or all skills base. Sands of Time gives you +2, 20% faster cast rate with some arcane skill damage. Dragon Knight's Flail is a poor version of Divinity, and Divinity is our best option here. Try and find a base with intelligence, arcane skill damage, or all skills. For offhands, we have Sky Song, and Divine Contemplation. Both of these are good options. Sky Song's an offensive option. Divine Contemplation is a defensive option. For helmets, if you're still wearing a Scholar, it's easily replaceable. Creator of Secrets has up to 25% all res and magic skill damage, 40 FCR, and up to 2 skills. Deathlord's Crown has up to 3 skills with 15 intelligence. This is also magic skill damage. And Crown of the Midnight's probably our best option here. We get 3 skills and up to 30% magic skill damage. For chest, Angle Oxawana is by far the best option. It's very cheap to make and very strong. If you need resistances, Grand Wizard's Robe's also a good option. 2 skills, 30% FCR, some physical damage reduction up to 35% all res. Heaven's Might's another good option. You get up to 4 skills with some physical and magical damage reduction, 100 vitality, and up to 6 sockets. For gloves, you have Conjured Mitts, Anubis' Mighty Hands, Mevius' Mighty Gauntlets, Zealot's Deathbringers, or Wisdom Holds. Any of these gloves will serve you well. It just really depends on your budget. For boots, you can go with Wizard Boots. They have a +1 on there with 10 intelligence. If you're looking for the most movement speed, Quick Steps would be your option. The best option here is probably Ghost, just because you get +2 skills, some physical and magical damage reduction, as well as movement phasing, so you can move through objects and enemies. And if you find a +3 Grand Wizard Silk Shoe, these can be a decent option as well. However, you don't get very much movement speed. For belts, Viper Magi gives you 20% FCR and 15 all res. Knight's Girdle is +2 with a little bit of vitality and some physical damage reduction. Commander's Sash is my preferred choice, as you do get the 1 skill, a little bit of sustain, physical damage reduction, and up to 20% all res. For rings, you have Kodo's Wedding Band. This gives +1 up to 30% movement speed and 215 nice. It's very nice. Iron Ring of Prometheus is good if you're trying to teleport around into different zones. Maybe you're boss rushing. This also gives you a couple of resistances. Absence of Constraint has up to 25 FCR and 18 arcane skill damage. And Satanic Eye is great if you're trying to cap your resistances. For amulets, any of these options will work. Unfathomable Puzzle, Shining Pearl, All-Seeing Eye, Dark Lord Sigil. Dark Lord Sigil is probably the best option here, as it does give you 2 skills, up to 30% arcane skill damage. But I can see the benefit of running All-Seeing Eye, having 3 skills and up to 50% magic find. Here's some affixes to look for on Mythic Charms. Satanic Charms aren't really an early game buy. They'll be rather expensive, but I would rather show you a couple options to look out for while you're grinding. The first is Moonshard. This can get up to -35% arcane resistance with a 75% arcane resistance penalty to you. Second is Damien's Cage. You can get up to +3 arcane skills with up to 35 intelligence. This is also magic skill damage, very strong. As far as balancing goes, this part is still underway in the beta. I will be testing all builds live on Twitch and updating this section in the written guide as I do, but I would rather have this section empty than to steer players in the wrong direction. Here's a list of all the relics that work with this build. You're going to have to decide on your best option based on your current gear, stats, and build feel. However, the first 4 are the ones that I recommend, with the utility options being the remaining. Currently in Season 5, Mercenaries generally only have one purpose, being a magic find or a bot. Mercenary Magic Find is applied to your on-kill Magic Find, so we will be stacking as much as we can get. Here's the Mercenary skill tree I recommend. And for gear, again, generally we're looking for the most Magic Find. However, for weapons, there is Aurora's Might, which can give you a huge resistance bonus on your character early. Once you've solved your resistances for your character, any of these options, Sacred Whip, Ceremonial Dagger, or Death's Mirror, are good Magic Find weapon options. Here's some assorted Magic Find chests, Magic Find helmets, and Magic Find offhands. Below is a list of satanic potions and their effects. I recommend damage options first, then build into some utility, but the choice is really up to you. Here's a detailed starter highlight filter made by me specifically for this build. This ensures that you will highlight exactly what you need all the way to hell. Below that, I do explain how I put this filter together so that you know exactly what is being highlighted if you want to make changes. Remember that highlight filters do not hide any items. You need a filter in order for that to happen. If you're not sure how filters work, be sure to check the written guide. I do have a bit more explanation on how filters work, as well as I do have the beginner's guide that goes really in detail on how filters work. Again, this is just a highlight filter. And that's going to wrap up my starter build guide for the Gunner Drone Marksman in Season 5. I truly hope this guide helps you in your journey. It was a ton of work, and I can't wait to see how blown away everyone is by Season 5. Be sure to check out more starter builds at the end of the written guide or via link in the description. Hit that subscribe button to let me know you want more Hero Siege content, and come say hi on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV for live Graxy fun. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.